Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We will be spending the next hour witnessing some of our amazing coach facilitators as they lead us through live coaching demos, followed by a short 5-minute debrief. We would love to learn where you are joining us from today. Please comment in the chat your location. And before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. I'd like to draw your attention to the Q&A button. As questions come up for you during the session, please put them there and we'll have time at the end for questions. Remember to post chat to everyone, not just panelists, so we can all see your comments and/or questions. We'll be using the chat for engagement throughout the webinar. The chat box is opened, so please comment and ask any questions as they come up. So my name is Stephanie. I'm the operations manager here at Coaching Out of the Box, and I'm pleased to be presenting our webinar today. Today's objectives: how coaching can happen in a short space of time and provide value, the different styles of coaching, and the importance of being authentic. Each real coaching session will be followed by feedback and discussion to enhance the learning experience. How coaches use the ICF core competencies and actions, skills for coaching in the moment, and time for Q&A. So today I'd like to introduce you to some of our amazing coach facilitators here at Coaching Out of the Box that will be leading our coaching demos. First off, we have Rosa. Rosa, do you want to pop on and say hi? You can take.
Just hi. Hi, everybody. I love participating in these coaching demos for a variety of reasons, which I will not get into. They're just so much fun to both be part of and witness. And I was just looking at where people are in the world and they're joining us from, and that's fantastic. So there's you can read my stuff and who I am, but hi, everybody.
Thank you. And next, Lorraine. Lorraine, would you like to pop on and say hi?
I do. Hi, everybody. And a special shout out, maybe there's other people from this area, but a big shout out to Brenda from Kamloops, because I often don't say where I'm from because nobody knows. I live in Scotch Creek, BC. So big shout out to Brenda, who's an hour away from me, and anyone else who's in the area. Yeah, so just really happy to be here playing with Stephanie and Rosa in the coaching space. Is always such a gift, and there's always such good stuff that comes out of it. So I'm excited to hear and see what you gain from this as we process together after the demos. So fun.
Perfect. Thanks, Lorraine and Rosa. So to get started, basically, we're just going to talk about who's going to be coaching first. So in a few moments, we're going to welcome Rosa to facilitate a 20-minute coaching session with Brandon. After this session, Lorraine will also conduct a 5-minute debrief conversation with Rosa. So we'll just get started here. I'm going to stop the slide share, and Rosa and Brandon, do you want to come on camera?
Do we just jump in? Let's just jump in. Let's do it, Brandon.
Let's go for it.
Brandon, first of all, I want to thank you. This is an odd place to be coached because you're being watched, but you're not. You can't really see. So I want to reiterate, there's a confidentiality piece here, and that people are watching, and they will be watching on the website. If we encounter anything that you're like, I'm not comfortable going there or whatever, know that you have that. Know that you can just be like, I'll think about that. I'll take that away. I want you to feel like it's just us. So you can bring anything to the table you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Also, in the spirit of transparency, we have met before. I've had the pleasure of having you in one of the courses I facilitated, and you graciously shared what you wanted to talk about today with me prior to this. And I'm all about ands. I want to assure everyone that I don't know how this dance is going to go. You don't either. We didn't pre-rehearse this, so that I wanted to just put that out. You might also see me take some notes just because I do that. So I want to dive in and honor why you came and what I can support you with. So Brandon, in the time we have and in the 18 minutes we have together, what is top of mind that we can work through?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that this morning, and what's top of mind for me is as I'm, getting started in building my coaching kind of brand, my presence, my practice, and really my reputation around that. One of the things that I struggle with is whether or not my coaching sessions are impactful, are my clients seeing progress, and what are some ways either I can get over the kind of roadblock of confidence, or on the back end, are there some things I can do to validate, yes, this is going well, my clients are getting what they need.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, it's one of the things as a coach, it's one of the perks of being a coach. We're always curious. In our time together, in the, however 17 minutes we have together, it's 17 minutes from now. We're going into the future. We end this call or end this conversation and you're like, yes, that was it. That's, what, this is good. I have stuff to work on. I can do this. What does success look like in our time together?
Yeah, so I don't want to set us up for failure, because I don't think I'm going to have an aha breakthrough of, oh my gosh, I've got it now. This is the thing. But if there's a way, or if there's a tactic or something that we can figure out that either I can do on my end, or a way that I can, end a session to just confirm that, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. One tactic to kind of get through till our next session would be a success to me.
Awesome. I think we can do that. Brandon.
Right.
I hear you talking about impact to those that you work with. You want to make sure it's valuable. You want to make sure the conversations are impactful. You also want to make sure that, your saw is sharpened, that you're showing up and it's impactful for you and you're getting value. Why are those things important to you? Why is this top of mind for you now?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is, I think as I try to grow and as I want to get more and more clients, knowing that I'm doing the right things and getting the right results is going to be important. Because to go out there and present myself in front of strangers, much like you're doing, you've got to have the confidence that you can get it done. And so as I'm starting that, I'm doing more and more of those kind of sessions where I'm leading groups or just, talking out into the world and hoping someone it resonates with. So knowing that I'm on the right track, or that I'm doing the right stuff so that I can take it to more people. That's one. And then secondly, I think it's really important because, I don't want people to get convinced that, wow, okay, we like this Brandon guy, we think we can work with him, and then be like, okay, this was a dud. And, be that flash in the pan where people are like, all right, that was my X amount of dollar lesson in figuring out that wasn't the right fit, mm-hmm. right? I want to, have clients that start and stay mm-hmm. for a long period of time, right. rather than just these quick sprints because it wasn't working out.
Mm-hmm. So Brendan, I heard you saying right a lot. The right fit, the right stuff, the right on the right track. Right by whose definition?
I think it would have to be theirs.
Okay.
I would assume, right? That it would have to be their definition.
Okay. So how? Because I also heard this. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm on the right track. I want to make sure that. And then I heard, well, it's theirs. So how do you marry those?
I mean, I think it's got to start with a defined outcome.
Okay.
Right. So in the initial discussion around what do we want to get out of this, agreeing on, like you did, here's what success looks like. And at the end of this, what do you want to get out of it? Some of my, kind of planning, and in my industry, we look at 90 days to 120, so either by quarter or trimester. So I think, we start with those and we have a conversation of where do you want to be by the end of this? And so we start with that, and maybe it's more about then breaking it down. So instead of saying, hey, in 4 months, we're going to be, at 20% revenue growth, maybe it's, okay, that's where we're going to be. Well, what are the mailboxes along the way, the signposts that we're going to run to on this big marathon? Mm-hmm. I haven't done that before to see what are our stops on the way to the end result. Mm-hmm. So that could be something.
Could be something.
I suppose then that would in fact give us a way to know, hey, are we on track? And if for whatever reason that week, because I usually meet every 2 weeks, if in that 2 weeks we're not on track, we could then say, okay, let's take a look at that. Is this a known thing? Like, yup, I know I'm not there because I have this deal closing soon and that'll catch us up. Or is it, hey, we're not on track, but maybe the client. So we actually had one say yesterday, like, yeah, that's on me. I wasn't doing my homework. So yeah, nobody in my group does it that way. It's always these 2, 3 to 4 month goals. And we never break it out to just say like, hey, where are we at today? Why are we still on track for this? That would be pretty easy to break out from an Excel sheet, just divide it out evenly. Yeah, I could probably bring that to the table just to say, because I'm not going to be the only new coach we hire. We're going to be hiring someone next year or sooner, and they're going to probably be thinking the same thing. So that can be something I can bring to the table.
Okay.
I think for sure.
And how does that fit with, I don't want to make an assumption because I see you nodding. How does that fit with how you show up as a coach? Like, is that, or is it, don't know why I'm doing this, but I am. How does that fit?
I think it fits because it fits because I think it actually helps kind of break out. I wear multiple hats, as Emily from my coaching class would say. I wear multiple hats as I'm on these roles, and some of the time I'm a coach and it's very conceptual and it's asking questions and it's helping people break past their mental barriers. Sometimes it's as a manager, like, what do you need me to hold you accountable to? And so I think it would actually then separate that role to say, all right, before we dive in, let's take a look at where we're at. What are our stats? What are we doing? Then what do we want to accomplish? And then finally we can go to, all right, let's talk about how we're going to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. So for as how I show up, I think it would make sense, especially in those very distinct, separate here, here, here. And it would give a pretty firm agenda each time as well, which could probably help cut through, sometimes we've got a goal and it's, all right, what's on your agenda today? And there's something that comes up that's pressing. So to help them say, got it, we're going to get to that. And here's the agenda, but we're still recognizing and, allowing the client to have the thing that they want to talk about that's, pressing in their mind. So I think that would work.
Okay. And I want to acknowledge you for something. One of the hardest, I think, things to do as a coach when you show up, when you have the different hats, is to switch them. And as you describe that, it's, hey, this is a way for me to create the separation for yourself, for the person that you're serving. And sometimes that's a tough thing to do. And I just want to acknowledge your desire to do that and your commitment to do that. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
The other piece you were talking about is the value. Sure, I hear you saying, hey, I love that mailbox. We can do these check-ins, not to wait for so long. Are we on track? Are we moving towards the goal that you want? There is also what you talked about at the beginning of, I want to ensure they're getting value. And mm-hmm. I want to just check in your mind, those are two different things.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe that's part of the issue, right? Because if they're seeing the results, then they're getting the value, because presumably we're helping them drive more revenue than we cost. Mm-hmm. So we're free at that point, which is always the goal. But that might be a separation in my mind, because sometimes I wonder, hey, we're hitting the numbers, but are they still considering us worth it, but I gotta, so maybe it's, so as I think about it, maybe it's okay, what are the numbers we're gonna drive to? And we could say at the end of, maybe there's a numerical value, and then what is something outside of work? What's a personal goal or a personal desire you have, whether it's, work-life balance, or I want to get better at having critical conversations, whatever it might be. We could have, all right, what do you want to do in your business and what do you want to do outside? Because I know that's a part of our value prop as our firm, is to help people live a better life in and out of business. And so I'm thinking I could do, what are some numeric values in the trimester, and then what's an outside of work goal that, and it could even just be they want to exercise more, and it's checking in like, hey, did you get to the gym, or did you run around the block, whatever the goal is. So we could do that, and that to me might be what's causing a roadblock for me, is the difference between a number and a personal side. Because if we're hitting both of those, then we are giving the value, and we're executing and delivering on what we said we would. Yeah, that could work. That's new. That would be a new thing to try. We may, I didn't think we'd get there, but we may be getting there in terms of something I can just go and do, because then I don't need to think about it, right? It just becomes a natural piece. And, I think for me, the confidence is going to come just in time, right? Hey, I've been doing this for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and, I've got it. I understand it now. And that's going to happen, but I can band-aid that and bridge that gap with some just defined, what are we going to hit on? And that holds both of us accountable, because then there can't be any question, because if someone does decide like, hey, this isn't working out for me, at least then we know, like, okay, where did it go wrong? The numbers were there, the value was there, they just decided it wasn't the right fit. That's okay. And then, that doesn't have to be something that we have to like kind of internally eat on over time. So I think that's what I'll probably do, is insert those steps.
So here's, I don't know, a question that keeps coming up when you're talking about that value piece. There's those that you serve, your clients, are saying, Brandon, here's what we said we're going to set out to do. Here's where we are. Thanks for that structure. Okay, on a personal level, I'm getting value. So that's kind of an external thing. I'm curious how you define that value. So outside of that external, is there, not a closed question. How do you define that value in terms of your work with whatever client comes to you?
I think it comes through their feedback. So value to me means that they are excited to meet with us. They like when they see us on the calendar, they're ready to go. And it's, just being engaged. I think is for how I perceive it. If they continue to remain engaged, then okay, we're there. If somebody starts canceling meetings or showing up late, or you can tell something else is going on and they're just kind of like nodding, well, then that's not the value. And that's where I think, there's some other conversations to be had. So for me, I think it's engagement. That's how I define it, is how engaged are they as we move towards these goals.
Okay.
That's my thought.
And I want to go back to, as you were talking about the confidence versus what I will call, I'll separate them, confidence versus self-belief. Like you had said, confidence is like, I'll do it. Oh, now I know how to do it. I'll do it again. Hey, now it's just a like muscle memory as you're kind of talking. But there's also this self-belief thing of, you as a coach coming in. I don't want to make assumptions. I don't know if that becomes a factor here. It doesn't sound like it does, but I wanted to just open that door to check in on what can improve that for you, whether it's confidence or the self-belief place as a coach?
Honestly, I think it's going to be, I think it derives from the same spot as, are we hitting the numbers? Are we driving the things that we're driving? And, so I joined the firm I'm in 4 months ago. And so we haven't even had a quarter yet really of me full on, hey, I'm here, we're coaching. So, I think for me, building in these checkpoints along the way are going to be able to give the kind of fast feedback that it's working, because right now, I'm kind of pushing the I believe button as, my leadership saying, yeah, this is great, it's working, and I believe it is. Yes, I believe you. But being able to also see, know, and then provide the feedback of, look at, this is the, growth we've seen just from the people that I'm working with, I think is going to be, that would be helpful in that regard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 minutes.
Thank you. Here's a question around that journey for you. How do you celebrate that? Whether it is that evidence, collection of evidence, because that's kind of what I heard. I'm going to keep collecting the evidence, and then it's going to fill up that bucket and be. But how do you celebrate that for yourself?
So I meet with a coach every couple weeks for myself. And so I think some of the celebration can be reporting that up of hey, this is what's been going well. Here's what I've been learning. But I also think, I've got some targets that I set for myself that, if I'm at a certain level of revenue at the end of the quarter, maybe I can do something fun, right? Maybe, and I haven't thought of what that is, because I probably want to ask my wife if we're going to do something, hey, you want to go out to dinner or something. Right. So I should probably check that one first. But I think, one of the things that I really appreciate is, so I live in Minnesota. We're finally starting to get a little bit warmer. It's rain today, not snow. So sorry, Canada. But, I enjoy fishing. And so maybe it's, hey, if I hit that, I'm going to take a day the first week of the next quarter, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to, log into calls. I'm not going to answer the phone. I'm just going to give myself a day to unwind and just go out on the little lake nearby and enjoy that. I think something like that, where I build in the permission to just step back because things have been going so well, can also link together. It's going so well, I can take my foot off the gas pedal because it was going so fast, and I can let go a little bit of having to, be so on and so focused. So that might be how I celebrate, is just take a day and check out.
Love that. So in our, I want to say about 15 seconds left, Brandon. Yeah. You had mentioned you're going to, again, that tactic, you're going to implement. Talk to me about the action and when.
Yeah, so actually probably within the next week or two. Okay. So my team is currently, this is really good timing for us as we're thinking about how do we build out our processes and procedures to be the right things moving forward. And we've been talking about this. And so what I'm going to do is we should build our, our checklist that we have. What are your 120-day goals? And then let's just build an Excel sheet that backs it up. So then we can check in everything along the way. I'm going to bring that to the table whenever our next team meeting is. We had one this morning. I think it'll probably be next week, Tuesday at the latest.
I see, Lorraine. I know we're going into a debrief. Brandon, I want to thank you for this. I know it's awkward, and I love the energy, and thank you for being such a willing player in the dance, and good luck with next week.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate the time. It helped. Right? Free coaching. Take it all day long.
Take it all in.
Thanks,
Thank
Rosa.
you, Brandon.
Thank
Fabulous
you.
clienting. We always acknowledge the coach, but yay, Brandon. Thank you for being so real and in it and present. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to speed debrief. I did invite people to say what they were noticing, and there's some really great observations in the chat. So if folks haven't looked in the chat, please do so, because there's lots of good stuff in there. So wow, what impact 20 minutes of coaching and what impact there is. I just really wanted to acknowledge you, Rosa, for creating that space and inviting Brandon to really play in that space openly as a result of who you were being and what you were doing, which was both. I made a note that embodying the coaching mindset is one of our new competencies in the new model. And you just demonstrated that for us beautifully. This blend of who you're being and what you're offering allowed you to be agile and responsive to what Brandon offered. And it came across as being unattached. And I think it was Judy that mentioned, or was it Jody that mentioned that there was this sense of not assuming anything and reflecting back. And what I know after 23 years of coaching is, and being coached myself, is that we do not hear what we say. Mm-hmm. So you demonstrating the power and the gift in listens actively, reflecting and summarizing and noticing repetitive words, and then giving this incredible spaciousness. That could have been an hour session from how I was drawn into it, but also the space that you had. It wasn't a time, there was no pressure there. There was just all this space for Brandon. And that was demonstrated by silence. And again, your listens actively, the cadence that you maintained and how you met him in the space, all this wonderful stuff. Something that is really, really important to me, and you also demonstrated really strongly, was asking what I refer to as, and this is a coaching skill thing, questioning. It's no longer in our competencies, but one of our really profound skills. You demonstrated what I refer to as asking the inspired question. Because I think new coaches can get stuck in that space of living in right and wrong and finding the right question, and that takes away from presence. One of the most powerful things you offered us here today was your presence, all of who you were and all of who you are, present tense, and continue to be, showed up, and with all of what you know in this beautiful blend that was just seamless, and the listening that you offered to Brandon evoked these questions that were in response to what he offered versus what do I ask now, which I know is when we're learning, that's a place to go and play, and let's not get stuck there. I love that. So asking the inspired question, the question that comes as a result of being present, which deepens our ability to listen contextually to all that's being said and not said, and create space for our clients to be fully expressed. And then, I think you said a couple times, and the question that keeps coming back to me, like it was that, like it wanted to be asked if it was relevant. And Brandon led the way. So I don't know how I'm doing. I didn't do my own time check for my debrief.
I think
Stephanie, do you need to wrap here?
We're still good. You've got about a minute left.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna do a minute.
Okay. Can I jump in? I'm going to jump in with two things. Yes. One, gratitude for that and the comments, which I'll go back and read, and gratitude to Brandon. Brandon, I know you can still hear me. There is a willingness. I know that we in our coaching, we say hold the client capable. And that's not only to get their own answers and to get to the actions and to identify, it's also in the conversation. So it was like, okay, you know where we're going. I don't. I'm just going to follow and open some doors and light some flashlights and open it up. But it's that holding someone capable is also giving them that space. And I wanted to make that kind of to say that out of, you also have to be willing to dance as a coachee, and Brandon was willing to come in and dance, and it makes my life easier as the coach and fun. But there's the holding capable is also, as a coach, like letting go of that control process time, sure, but letting them truly lead in the conversation, which again, Brennan had a willingness to do. So it made my life a lot easier. And it made the coaching just fun. Like I just find this stuff fun. So I wanted to acknowledge that, that there is there is, as we show up as coaches, having that top of mind, not only the moment and in the process of, it's their agenda, just going and helping and supporting, and but it's their agenda. So I wanted to just acknowledge Brendan for showing up to dance, and being willing to lead.
Is there anything else? Because of course I was all ready to fill that last minute with all the wonderful things that I have to say. Is there anything else that you would like to point to or feel, given the experience that you were in, that was able to be demonstrated those that are observing today, that you think is a value to point
I think the other thing, and I'll go really quickly because I know that now we're about 20 seconds, is when you're in the presence, like when you're being present in your whole self, which is a big thing, is that listen to that gut, listen to your intuition as a coach. And sure, that'll come with confidence and using, but there was this like, okay, wait a second, he's processing, just checking by his body language. Sure. But there was also this, there's something else that needs to be said. And for me, that is always kind of a lead the way of what is my gut telling me that needs to be asked right now? And it could fall flat. I have no attachment to it. And it's that listening to the intuition piece that we sort of forget when we're like learning, and here's the competencies, and it's like, listen to what you hear on that other level. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sum up in my own words. Practice makes progress. So yes, there is no perfect in coaching. So practice makes progress, and this comes with practice and doing and allowing your clients to be whole, resourceful, and having capacity. That includes seeing yourself in that way. I hear you saying both things. And the other is, again, this is a coined phrase by me, but if you're working too hard, you're not coaching. So really that ease, right? You kept saying that Brandon made this easier for you. So because he was so willing, ready, and able to be coached, he was so engaged already. And just that sense of hands off the wheel, let our clients drive. Boom.
Love that. Boom.
All right.
I think we're good. Now flipping it over.
Really good.
Let's see you on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rosa. And I just want to thank Brandon as well. Thank you for jumping on as a coachee. And I want to acknowledge your willingness and courage to be coached live. I forgot to say that at the start, but we really do appreciate your willingness to be here today. As we move forward, we're going to now welcome Jody to the stand up here to be coached. And I want to thank you before we start this time for your willingness and courage to be coached live. And I will switch the tiles around so that you're front and center, and take it away, Lorraine.
Okay. Well, hello, Jody. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Lorraine. How are you?
I'm well. Oh, I can see you now. So nice to see you. Rosa did this beautiful confidentiality check-in, and I just wanted to, without taking time to do that again, are you in full agreement and understanding of the nature of this, and willing to take care of yourself in the process?
Yes, absolutely. That makes sense to me.
Fantastic. Okay. So I too take notes at times, and that doesn't take away from my presence and my availability to you. So given our time together, 20 minutes-ish, what is it that is top of mind or that you would like to bring to our coaching demo?
Well, the thing that feels most top of mind is yesterday I participated in another character strengths test. And I do these periodically, and I ran across one I hadn't done before. So I did it, and I've been thinking about some of the findings. And so what I'd most like is to explore what I'm noticing, and come up with a strategy that will help me give some attention to where I think I might have a bit of a gap.
Okay. So I really want to acknowledge you for your preparation for coming in, because that helps us be really productive in the space. So you not only do you have a topic, but I hear you've already gone to that place of, hey, this is my desired outcome. This is like what I'd like to achieve in our 20 minutes. So around that character strengths assessment that you did, you noticed some new strengths, and you'd like to leave here with a strategy for seeing where the gaps might be. It sounds like you've got a sense of that there are gaps, and just identifying those.
Yeah, it's less that I've identified a new strength, and more that I've identified something that I'm not actually that strong in, that I need to be intentional about. So this particular strengths test didn't really show me much that was new on what sort of arose at the top. but I really was surprised to find that that one of the things that showed up towards the bottom of the list, I really thought, and it's gratitude. And I really thought, gosh, I thought I was a grateful person. I tend to be pretty hopeful, pretty optimistic. And the way this one is said is it's not that you lack that if it's at the end, but it's just not something you're naturally actively manifesting or modeling. And so that's what I'm really noticing, is that even if I have things like, I've got resonance between some of my core values and some of my strengths. And one is a deep appreciation for noticing beauty and excellence. And to me, that means I'm like noticing and being grateful for things. But I think if I see normal gratitude showing up at kind of the bottom of the list, that makes me go, oh, that's interesting. So is the gap between being appreciative and then being intentional about expressing the gratitude. Does that kind of make sense?
It sure does. I really appreciate you clarifying further. So the experience of seeing gratitude at the end was noteworthy. Like, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And your it's about really understanding the gap and what it means for you to be intentional.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is it that would allow you, by the end of our time together, what would it allow you to know that you've identified this gap and have a strategy to bring intention to this area of your strengths?
Yeah. Well, for me, what I find most helpful is to just have basically a habit that I implement. I'm somebody that benefits from being organized and having a strategy around things. And I feel competent when I know that I've sort of put something in place that'll help me. So, I've had gratitude practices in the past, and it's gotten me thinking about, well, how come I don't do that anymore? And did that really help me? And so I think what I'd like to do is examine what might be a new practice that I would stick with and that would actually feel resonant in its value and actually help me feel like it's not just an exercise for my own benefit, but that it's an exercise that I'm seeing benefit from for others, frankly.
Okay. I love that add in. So yes, there's an aspect of this that's for yourself, and the emphasis is for others. So developing this new practice, identifying a new practice that can support you to bring intention around gratitude in this place for others. That sounds like a more defined outcome. Would you say that's really what you're looking for as a new practice, this habit?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And I really appreciate how you dug into what works for you to bring forward into this, because if you are tapping into what works for you, you're more likely to be successful. So fantastic. Thanks for that. So around this awareness around gratitude and where it fell in this new strengths assessment, you're going towards and going to achieve today a new practice around gratitude in support of what you offer others. What will that bring to your life that you do not have now at this moment as we're speaking?
I think that it actually will strengthen my sense of connectedness, because that actually is pretty high on the list for me. I really value connection, that sense of connectedness to others and to other all life, and sort of the interconnectedness of everything really resonates for me. And so I find it really troubling to think that maybe I'm not offering enough gratitude to others, because then I feel like maybe I'm not actually fulfilling what I know to be really important to me in strengthening that connection and that interconnectedness. So I think by having a practice where I'm intentional, I've accepted that this might not be a natural tendency of mine, but I've come up with a way to be more competent about it. That'll help me feel like I am contributing in a way that I know to be really important to me and important to others.
Okay, so a little formula just popped up as you were talking. So I'm going to offer this and see how it lands for you. So intention, so the intention to express gratitude, plus attention, giving some attention to that in the form of a habit or a strategy, equals meaningful connection and contribution.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right on.
Okay. You use the word troubling, and I really appreciate you bringing that forward, because there was a sense of something being amiss in seeing gratitude at the bottom of the list. What will be resolved in you? What will you, by living into this formula, by fostering meaningful connection in this way, what will that allow for you and others as a result, as far as resolving this sense of troubling in you?
Yeah.
What will be resolved?
I think what will be resolved is my sense of purpose, frankly. I am somebody that really operates from a sense of service and purpose. And my whole career has really been turned towards improving whatever environment I'm in, and really finding ways to contribute to making a better world. And so, without going into like all of my history, that means a lot to me. And so when I think that I might actually see myself as having a clear purpose and being of service to others, and then I line that up with a recognition that folks might not feel that I'm grateful for what they're offering, and that maybe everything that they're contributing, while I might think it's excellent, and I most want them to feel empowered and supported and appreciated, if I think I'm doing that, but I'm not actually doing that, then that's in direct violation with what I think my purpose is. I think it's just really important for everyone to know what they're good at, to feel supported in how they show up in the world, and to feel like they are capable and competent to do what they most feel drawn to, that really resonates with their core values and what the world needs. And so it feels pretty darn important that I do what I can to let people know when I see that, and to help them become conscious of what they're competent in. So so I just think that even if I recognize it, if I'm not expressing it, then I'm not actually doing what I most want to do.
Okay, wow. I have just this overwhelming sense of gratitude towards you for being someone who is able to receive the feedback, the information, it's data, the data that in this particular format of this Strengths Finder protest, that gratitude fell at the bottom, and that and to sit with that, as opposed to, oh, that's interesting, and go off and be distracted. You've allowed that to, you've really embodied that, really embraced that. What I'm hearing is troubling for you about that. I'm hearing more depth about this is troubling because it's out of alignment with your values. So you're able to let in that information. So I guess I'm really acknowledging you for being someone who can let in that kind of feedback and allow it to inspire change. Allow it to inspire a shift in you that is going to, and you use this, like, and it was interesting because the word alignment kept coming up to me, and you went like this, and I'm like, oh, there it is. It's like, oh, this is going to bring me into alignment with my values, my deep value of being of service in meaningful ways and contributing and having clear purpose. So this piece allows you to get there. You're in alignment with your values by expressing gratitude. And there's this real emphasis around for others so they can be more of who they are and all they do. Okay. Was there anything that I reflected back to you that you need to clarify further, or that has sparked something in you as you hear it back?
I think you really nailed it. So I don't think I need to clarify any of that. Thank you.
Okay. So just in honoring our time, what is coming alive in you and clear in you as a result of spending some time in this space with me and working towards a new practice around gratitude?
Yeah, I think what I'm noticing is that I'm sort of thinking back on my own efforts to recognize and be grateful in my life in the past. And I think that what's true is that because the thing that shows up at the top, or one of the top things for me, is humility, I wonder if my gratitude practices in the past have been more on grateful for like what's in my life, grateful for making a connection of what did I do that made today successful. And I wonder if my natural humility sort of resists that because it sort of feels like an internal brag or something. And I think it feels really important to shift the focus to what am I doing to express gratitude for others, because that actually feels more motivating. And so if I can think about that, just that recognition that, this is what helps keep me in alignment with where I feel most of purpose. I think that having the spotlight be less on me feels very different. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Well, what about that makes sense to you? Having the spotlight, having the light shine on others and showering them with gratitude somehow feels better to you. What about that makes sense to you?
Yeah. Well, in my experiences of leading others, I think of several different things I've done, whether it's been in my career, in my community, or in sort of side things that I do. People tend to look to me to be the one to say, where are we going? What do we need to know about this situation, right? Even though I don't necessarily always put myself in those positions of leading the group, I tend to find myself in those positions informally as well as in formal ways too. And so I think what's important about it is that I have a quietness to my leadership. And that quietness doesn't always serve people if they're only getting the really positive reinforcement and feedback at times when they most expect it. Like, I know that I'm really explicit in say
4.5 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Say in check-ins with staff that I supervise, or annual performance reviews, or when people ask me really specific questions, I know that I always frame in the positive. I'm focused on their strengths. I'm lifting them up. I'm getting really explicit, but I don't do sort of the my own inspired acknowledgements. I don't do like, hey, let me pick 3 people that at the end of the day, I'm going to say, here's what you explicitly did today that made today great. And I think something that tactical actually feels really important and valuable to me because it gets so specific. And because I'm a planner, I can put it in my calendar and I know that I'll do it.
Okay. Wow. Okay, so why I'm wowing is because I just heard you make sense of what you were saying and also come to that thing that you wanted, which was a tactical habit that I can repurpose over and over again that is going to support me to strengthen and express this aspect of gratitude. So it sounds like that one of the keys that you identified was this shift from self-focus to other focus. And that you're acknowledging that, yeah, I do this kind of gratitude and I do this in my leadership, in this quiet leadership style I have, and I mean, you said, but I can add this really tactical piece of my own inspired moments of gratitude. So not in this planned way or in this way, but the way when they least expect it. So what is emerging for you as action, this tactical strategy that you can repurpose over and over again, that is going to really help you feel aligned, allow you to feel aligned and strengthened in this area of gratitude with others, for others?
Yeah. I think what I'd like to do is recognize that this practice has value in all the ways that I can see my interconnectedness with others. And so I think what would be really valuable to me is to think about this as a habit, not only in my work environment for my team, but also in my friend relationships, in my partnership with my husband, and with my children. And potentially I could throw my broader family in there. And so if I'm really thinking about who is most important to me, all of those are true. And then I can draw that connection of what am I doing on a regular basis? Some of this might not be daily because I don't maybe see my extended family daily, but anybody that I'm interacting with on a really regular basis, figure out what's the cadence that makes sense. And then just have that habit, build that habit of saying, okay, I'm leaving the office. I want to notice out of my team 2 really phenomenal things that I'm grateful for, and expressly share that, not only with the individual, but in some cases, probably with the whole team. But then, what am I doing with my children or my husband at the end of the night that I can be expressive about that appreciation with them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing a full embodiment. That there's a piece, and then we'll wrap up just for sake of time. So full embodiment of this awareness, applying it to all relationships. It's not just work specific. There is an element of your calendar. I did want to acknowledge that you lit up when you said I can put it in my calendar, and then I'm going like that was really important to you. And I would also like to invite this spontaneous piece that isn't something that you spoke of. And yes, you're strong in strategy and tactile and putting something in the calendar. And I'm also going to invite you to step into the moments where you feel inspired to share gratitude in the moments as well as the cadence. Okay, so we are at time. I had my own backup. So thank you so much for being with me in this process and for being with us today and allowing us to demonstrate coaching by your willingness. And just in full transparency, as Rosa did, we have not met before. So thank you for trusting me and just showing up in the space.
Absolutely.
I wish you well.
And Jody, before you go, don't turn off your camera.
Okay.
I want to thank you both, because that was just, Lorraine's just a joy to watch. Jody, I'm curious, as you're in that 20-minute space, what did a couple things or one thing that Lorraine did that really resonated for you, was impactful for you, that she demonstrated?
I think it was 2 things stand out. I think it was super helpful to just get that genuine feedback of what Lorraine noticed that was working in my thinking and in my processing and my body language. It helps me to have that stuff explicitly pointed out, so that's helpful. I also appreciated taking a bit of a deeper dive into why this mattered and not sort of rushing into the tactical pieces, but helping me get really explicit about why shining the light on others was feeling different and more important than shining it on myself.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And if you wanted to get out, I was going to say, I don't want to keep you on camera and stare at you, but you can stay with us. I want to echo that. There is this, sometimes, as we're in our own practice, there is a, let's speed through. Okay, what do you want to get today? What is important to you? Okay, let's get to the meat. And it's like, wait a second, that is the meat. than it can be. And Lorraine, you do a beautiful job of just, asking, okay, so what do you want to talk about? Like what's top of mind? What's on your heart right now? And your language is just allows for that safety to start peeling. I don't say peeling the onion, but I'm going to say it because I just said it. And to go deeper and then spend the time to say, okay, so, what's coming? Okay, so why is this important to you? What are you looking for? To get really granular and to spend the time there. Sometimes we feel rushed to do that because we have 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But what you demonstrated so beautifully was spend the time there so that Jody was able to process. She had the space to process, verbalize, and that awareness was already coming up as you got to the, wait a second, what do you want to get out of our time together? And why is it so important to you? Jody, as you said, it was starting to bubble up and awareness was starting to pop up, which then not only anchored the conversation, but it kind of got the sense that it started to formulate wait a second, this is why it's important to me. Wait a sec, here are my actions. And they were really grounded. And so Lorraine, you do that beautifully. That demonstration of there's no rush to go through that first part is so important. Not only as a coach to anchor and just to create that space right off the get-go. I will, acknowledge and repeat some of the chat. There is this full body listening that you do when it was, as Jody was talking, it was even near the end, it was, wait a second, this is about embodiment, or I'm getting there's a formula coming up where it was, they're Jody's words that Lorraine just like, okay, wait a second, this is what I see. I'm going to put them together and send them back. And I have no attachment to them. So Jody could have easily said, if it didn't resonate, she gave her the space. No, that wasn't it. And even that is valuable because it could have gone this way.
And what else is it? Like what comes up for you?
Exactly.
Yeah, such a great space.
So, and, even, there is this, the words that you use are very aligned with how you coach. So again, an invitation to find the words that you use and use them because when they align. But it was like, what comes alive and clear for you? You use that, very grounded soul language so beautifully that again created the safe space for Jody to come in and play and asking those questions, but it was this full body listening and acknowledgement of the other person that allowed that space for Jody to kind of come up and be like, you know what, I got this, okay, this is good. And then it was even that expanded to, it's not just work, it's everything. So that is taking us to 4 seconds left. I have my timer on. Okay. So Lorraine, jump in.
Can I jump in? Okay, so 4 seconds. So 20 minutes, boom. I have a sense that something has happened here in 20 minutes that wasn't before. So there's this opportunity to create and co-create with one another and move forward, even though we didn't necessarily do all the steps of the coaching conversation. We didn't clear the way. We didn't look at obstacles, all that stuff. And we didn't necessarily, the two of us, really confirm what was going to happen. We talked about it, but I didn't say, okay, so when are you going to start this? When are you going to get your calendar out? Like we didn't do any of that. I know for a fact that something will be different. And what will that be from this point forward?
You're putting me on the spot again, aren't you? Yeah, what will be different is, I'll have that mindset of what am I looking for that I need to express in the moment. And I can have a habit, if I haven't done it automatic or spontaneously, I can have a habit to look for it when it shows up in my calendar.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for bringing that in. Last piece is partnering, the power of partnering with our clients. So I could have left it at, I could have acknowledged the action plan and gone more into that. For me, intuitively, it felt more important to bring in this spontaneous piece because that is allowing a natural expression as well. Yes, she's strong in strategy, and gosh, what about in the moment with her people? Bring some ease to this too, and some, okay. Thank you, so fun.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Thank you, Jody. Thank you again to everybody for attending our webinar today. And thank you, Jody and Brandon, for your willingness and courage to be coached in a public forum. We really appreciate you. We have our next fast track starting May 3rd. So you get to experience some of these amazing coach facilitators and learn some new coaching skills. I'm going to stop the recording now, but if anybody wants to stay on and ask any questions, we would love to answer them just for a couple of minutes.